Is there anything we need to take up prior to bringing in the jury? All right, let's bring in the jury. Okay, it's 1 o'clock. Go let the jurors know that we'll be with them in like 3 minutes. Thank you. All right, welcome back, members of the jury. Everyone may be seated. All right, before we get started, I want to confirm with the jurors that even though you had your devices over the lunch recess, did you follow the communication rules? If you could answer out loud.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hill, you may proceed with your cross-examination.
Good afternoon, Ms. Butler.
Good afternoon.
My name is James Hill. I didn't get to meet you during your deposition. It's nice to meet you this afternoon.
Nice to meet you as well.
My understanding, you're now in the private sector, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
In this particular case, you specialize, I believe that it was IRS,
Yes, that's the abbreviation for my position.
and that was your primary and only duty in this case?
Yes.
You reviewed thousands of records, countless hours working, in essence, to help the investigative team try to narrow down to specific suspects. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And in that in particular, with regards to Mario Fernandez, is it your understanding that he was in essence a person of interest almost starting on day one?
I can't classify what law enforcement classified him as, but I was told about Mr. Fernandez on February 17th. Yes, sir.
So immediately after the homicide, you began to at least research into him.
Yes, sir.
This also included Shanna Gardner,
Yes.
John Biggerstaff,
I didn't begin to research into Mr. Biggerstaff immediately, no.
but ultimately John Biggerstaff and Henry Tenon, correct?
Correct.
Among other people.
Yes.
I know that the state presented a photograph to you of Mr. Fernandez and Ms. Gardner. That was located on a blog by Ms. Gardner's mother.
The blog is run by Ms. Gardner's mother, yes.
Did you also do investigation into Shelley and Sterling Gardner?
I wouldn't say that I did an investigation into them. I became familiar with them through the course of my investigation.
Was it only the blog that you were investigating?
I believe I might have done some social media searches, but as far as documentation, the blog.
And I'm kind of going out of order, but you would agree nothing in the blog where you pulled that photograph provided any further relevant information regarding Mario Fernandez and the homicide of Jared Bridegan. You would agree with that?
I would agree with that.
That was just a photograph of husband and wife together that was posted on Mr. Fernandez's mother-in-law's blog.
Right. The purpose was to understand the activities before and after the homicide.
And you were able to learn through that research somewhat about the Gardner family and their finances. Is that correct?
Yes.
Specifically, Sterling and Shelley Gardner, that they're wealthy individuals.
Yes.
Would you agree that primarily through your research, the finances that Mr. Fernandez had were primarily tied to his marriage to Shanna Gardner?
I didn't do enough financial research into Mr. Fernandez to be able to answer that definitively.
Were you able to determine he earned an income from his rental properties?
I don't recall looking into that specifically, no.
Now I want to draw your attention back to the actual night of the homicide, February 16th. You provided some testimony that you made a determination that his phone was not communicating with the network during certain times.
Correct. There were no cellular transactions during certain times.
And that was information that ultimately was utilized by Agent Blythe?
It wasn't utilized by Agent Blythe. I discussed it with Agent Blythe.
But you're not an expert in that particular area, correct?
I am not, no.
So you're not able to draw any type of opinion from an expert standpoint as to what the lack of records or the presence of records actually means?
Correct. I conducted preliminary analysis to provide investigative leads.
And there's no dispute that there was also network data gaps at other points in that same evening?
That's correct.
My understanding is that that could be for several different reasons. A person could have their cell phone powered off, would be one reason.
Yes, sir.
Their phone could be placed in airplane mode.
Yes.
And for other reasons.
That's correct.
And that could be pretty broad. You would agree with that?
I would agree with that.
Some of that entirely out of the control of the person that actually possesses the device.
I would say that's fair.
For instance, T-Mobile, as it applies to Mr. Fernandez, whatever T-Mobile may be doing from a network standpoint would be outside of the control of someone with a T-Mobile device.
That's correct.
So if there's no timing advance records for a particular time period, and it's not because the phone is off or in airplane mode, that would be outside of the control of the user. Would you agree with that?
It could be.
And you're not able to testify specifically as to that first gap, as to whether or not it's off, airplane mode, or other. Would you agree with that?
That's correct.
And I believe you were also asked about some other gaps that were later that evening. Would you be surprised to know that law enforcement has testified in this trial that they made contact with Mr. Fernandez and Ms. Gardner during one of those timing advance gaps?
I would not be surprised. I know that law enforcement did make contact with them.
And further, that they made no observations of Mr. Fernandez fumbling with his phone, turning it off, turning it on, or otherwise?
Sure.
Okay. And would you agree that that could be evidence that, in fact, there is a networking issue, at least during the time period where law enforcement is watching and seeing him during one of those timing advance gaps?
I would say based on my understanding it's possible, but I can't say one way or another.
So with any of the gaps that the state has elicited and that I brought up, you're not able to actually offer any testimony as to what the actual reason for that timing gap is.
No, I'm not.
And certainly you can't say that any of those timing gaps specifically implicate Mr. Fernandez in the homicide of Jared Bridegan.
I can only say that there are gaps.
Only say that there are gaps.
Yes.
As to why there's gaps, you cannot say.
Correct.
Now, my understanding, you did further analysis 30 days prior to the homicide, the day of, and 30 days post-homicide. For a total of 61 days, you looked to compare to see if there were other gaps in network connectivity. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the specific gap that was referenced was 1910 to 2019, which is what people refer to as military time, but that would be 7:10 p.m. to 8:19 p.m. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
And that's the time gap that the state had referenced that they believe is that Mr. Fernandez had his phone off during the homicide. Whether that's true, you're not able to testify that, but that is the time period in which you researched. Is that correct?
That's the gap around the time of the homicide.
Yes, ma'am. And as you just mentioned, you did somewhat of a historical analysis for pre-homicide and post-homicide for that exact same time period, correct?
Yes, I did.
And because that particular time period is significant, you wanted to see if that ever occurred at any other time before the homicide or after. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
And it's accurate that you did find other occasions that that took place.
I did.
You found approximately 4 of those, correct?
I did.
And just so the jury understands it, I would imagine every single one of them has a cell phone. In order for someone to power their phone down, depending if it's an Apple or Android, they press or hold down a button, the phone shuts down. Fair enough?
More or less, yes.
Same way with starting it back up, correct?
Yes.
You would agree, though, for someone to have 4 identical gaps, they would have to be able to shut their phone down at precisely the exact time. You would agree with that?
Based on my recollection of the analysis, the gaps weren't identical. My analysis was just about were there transactions during that time frame on other days.
And you found 4 exact duplicate transaction periods. And that 30 days before and 30 days after for the time period you were researching.
It did not reflect that the cell phone stopped communicating with the network or the gap started at the same time on all 4 of those days. No, it did not.
It was a lack of transactions.
Correct.
Okay. Which again, you relate back to saying that if there's a lack of transactions, it means that it is not communicating with the network. Is that my understanding?
That is one possible reason, yes.
But there's multiple possible reasons, as you testified.
Yes.
The cell phone could be off, is one.
Yes.
Which is what the state has tried to elicit from you, that they believe the cell phone was off, correct?
I was not asked that by the state.
But that's what's being presented to this jury. But your testimony is very clear. You cannot make that determination at all.
No, I cannot.
And you found 4 other occasions with 0 transactions during the same time period you researched for that 61-day time period.
That's correct. When I did my preliminary analysis, that's what I found.
But you did not research any other time periods in that 61-day time period to see if there were other network gaps, did you?
No, I did not. I focused on the time period surrounding the homicide.
And that cell phone information has been provided in evidence, so the jury will be able to review it. But would you be surprised to know that there were other network gaps throughout that same evening?
I do know that there were additional gaps, as we're calling it, throughout that evening.
Other than me telling you this afternoon, did you know that law enforcement spoke to Mr. Fernandez during one of those particular network gaps? I may not be using the right terminology, but a gap in transactions?
I knew that law enforcement spoke to him that night. I don't recall ever putting the two together that it was during one of the lack of transactions.
And is that because you were more of a, and I don't want to diminish your role, but you were more of a data analyst as opposed to a law enforcement investigator?
That's correct. I was an analyst and I did preliminary analysis.
And with regards to Mr. Biggerstaff, I understand you did a similar analysis on his device?
I did.
Okay. And are you aware that there has been testimony that Mr. Biggerstaff was present at a location far away from Jacksonville Beach during the same time period?
Yes.
And he actually operates at the time an AT&T device, is that your understanding?
Yes.
Could that be for the same reasons as a T-Mobile device as far as off, airplane mode, or other?
Based on my understanding, yes.
And certainly you wouldn't be able to offer any testimony as to which of those particular options it would have been to cause that lack of network transaction.
That's correct.
Is your understanding that Mr. Biggerstaff's gap actually encompassed from 4:25 p.m. till 10 p.m. that evening?
I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but it was longer than Mr. Fernandez's gap.
And it was different.
Yes.
You don't have any evidence that there was any direct communication that said turn your cell phone off in a particular time period?
I'm not aware of any evidence to that nature, no.
In fact, you don't have any evidence at all that you've reviewed from your data analysis of Mr. Fernandez trying to communicate with other people to coordinate powering down phones, putting them in airplane mode or other?
I just have records of communications. I'm not aware of what the contents of those communications were.
And specifically with Mr. Biggerstaff, you did a similar analysis 30 days before and 30 days after, is that correct?
Yes.
And in his particular device, you found approximately 10 occasions with a similar type of activity or lack of activity.
That's correct.
And since you've been involved in this case since, in essence, day one, you would agree with that?
Yes.
And when there's major breaks in the case, you're made aware of those, correct?
Yes.
You're aware that the truck was found.
Yes.
You're aware that Henry Tenon was arrested.
Yes.
You were made aware that Mario Fernandez was arrested,
Yes.
as well as Shanna Gardner.
Yes.
You've not been told that John Biggerstaff has ever been arrested, correct?
Correct.
Juan Biggerstaff never been arrested.
Correct.
Now, the state also asked you with regards to some of your financial analysis. The date of the homicide occurred on February 16th. No dispute about that, correct?
Correct.
You found no evidence that Mr. Fernandez paid Henry Tenon any money related to this homicide or otherwise prior to February 16th, correct?
That's correct.
And you looked for that.
I did review Mr. Fernandez's financials. I can't speak to exactly the start date and the end date.
But certainly if you had found something to evidence a payment prior to the homicide, we would expect to hear that today.
Yes.
We would expect there would likely be a picture of a check or cash or otherwise that you would be testifying to on direct examination.
Not sure what the evidence would have been, but I likely would have been testifying to it if I found
We
it.
can agree none of that testimony was elicited to you earlier this morning.
That's correct.
Now, you did testify that there were 3 checks that you did find.
I did not testify about checks.
Have you identified those in your financial analysis?
I have seen the scans of the checks. I was not the one that identified them initially, no.
When you reviewed the financials, did you come across them at all?
I remember seeing the checks in the financials, but I was not the one that initially located them.
No dispute that those were after the homicide.
That's correct.
And that was approximately March and then April of 2022. Is that correct?
Late March, early April, yes.
No evidence that there were any payments after that April date.
Not that I'm aware of now.
And certainly you would be the one to likely assist or be the one to find those payments based upon what your role in this investigation was.
I might have. I would say that I would be aware if there were.
Now, this question is going to sound almost common sense, but you would agree a check, which not many people use anymore these days, has the name of the person or the company that's issuing the check.
Correct.
Okay? And someone in a position such as the ATF, the FBI, JSO, or Jack's Beach, they can certainly track down by way of the name of a person or a business to find out who wrote that check.
Yes.
Okay? And what else would be on there is the person's signature that actually signed the check.
Correct.
Okay? Wouldn't be hard to find because you have the person's name and their business or their address listed on the check.
That's correct.
Okay? Now, the state has somewhat alleged that this is hiding in plain sight, but it certainly could be the opposite. It could be for legitimate purposes. Would you agree with that?
It could be.
None of those checks, and you've seen copies of those checks, correct?
I have.
They certainly don't say murder of Jared Bridegan on there, do they?
That's correct. They do not.
Okay. They say landscaping for one,
Yes.
tree work for another, or excuse me, landscaping and tree work and then roofing for another.
I'm not sure about the exact wording of the first one. The second one does say roofing.
Okay. And then one said Kickstarter.
Kickstarter, good luck.
Okay. And were you made aware that once the truck was recovered in the search of the Potomac property, they actually found a business plan for Mr. Tenon?
I remember hearing about that. I'm not sure. I don't know that I knew that it was found in the Potomac house.
If I represent to you that law enforcement recovered that, would you take my word for it?
Yes.
Okay. No dispute that a handwritten check with a signature and the writing in the memo line with the name of your business is a pretty identifiable instrument.
It's identifiable, yes.
Much easier to trace than cash.
That's correct.
Certainly better than crypto.
That's correct.
All ways that people committing crimes and issuing payments may utilize to avoid having it traced back to them.
Yes, there are a number of ways to accomplish that.
But in this case, the only payments that you found or were found by law enforcement with your knowledge was by way of these 3 checks.
To my knowledge, yes.
And you assisted in the location of the blue F-150?
I did.
And that was by way of your cellular data investigation?
Yes.
And that was specific to Henry Tenon, correct?
We reviewed Henry Tenon's records, different types of records to find the blue truck, yes.
You didn't find any evidence that Mario Fernandez or his devices ever went to that particular location, correct?
Not that I recall, no.
No connection to that location that you're aware of, correct?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And certainly, as you mentioned, you have knowledge of the major breaks in the case.
Yes.
Had there been a connection between the property where the F-150 was found, you would expect you would have known that.
If it was determined, if there was a connection determined to exist, I believe I would have known that, yes.
Going back to that particular property where the F-150 was found,
Yes.
were you able to identify anyone other than Henry Tenon that had a connection to that property?
The individual who was spoken to by law enforcement,
Do you know that person's name?
Jimmy Jones.
Did you ever find any connection between Mario Fernandez and Jimmy Jones?
I did not know.
After those 3 checks, which was March and April, no disagreement that there was no evidence of payments November of 2021 from Mario Fernandez to Henry Tenon.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
None for December of 2021.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Nothing in January of 2022.
Not that I'm aware of.
And nothing in February of 2022 when the homicide occurred.
That's correct.
You would agree you found no evidence, Mr. Tenon, a text message between him and Mario Fernandez with regards to payments for a homicide.
That's correct.
You've never been made aware of a jail phone call from Henry Tenon to anyone complaining that he didn't get paid for this homicide.
No.
No other information related to Henry Tenon getting paid for this homicide other than the allegation that these 3 checks may have had some significance.
I don't have information that I can speak to now that there was these 3 checks were anything other than what they said on the memo line, but I can't speak one way or the other.
Certainly, you're not convinced, as you sit here today, that those checks were for the homicide or for the work that's written in the memo line.
I'm not sure that it's appropriate for me to speculate about that.
You can't draw a conclusion either way.
Not with the information I have.
Understood. Now, you reference these data deletions.
Yes.
Now, these data deletions, the state brought those up on what has been marked as States 212. Can you tell me if that's displayed on your screen?
Yes.
This is a big spreadsheet, all from what you received back from Google. Is that correct?
What law enforcement received, yes.
Some of these have more data than others, correct?
That's correct.
Now, the state didn't highlight this in their direct examination, but I'm going to start with item number 4. You would agree if you go to the far right, starting at P, for number 4, it indicates facebook.com. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds pretty elementary, but you would agree that that appears to be something deleted related to Facebook.
I believe so based on my understanding and what the records show.
No information that there's ever been anything posted on Facebook by Mario Fernandez as it relates to the homicide of Jared Bridegan.
Not that I'm aware of, but if it was deleted, I wouldn't have been able to review it.
But certainly, law enforcement can get a subpoena to send to Meta to collect data of Facebook posts and stories.
That's correct.
Okay? Something that the ATF can do.
That's correct.
Okay? JSO could do that.
That's correct.
Jacksonville Beach Police Department.
Yep. Yes.
And certainly we had the FBI involved as well. They could do that too.
Yes.
Okay? So if someone thought it was significant that Mario Fernandez deleted things from Facebook, there are mechanisms that law enforcement can employ to go and find out what it was.
That's correct.
Okay? But as you sit here today, you don't even know exactly what that Facebook deletion was.
I do not.
Okay? The state just wanted to elicit that there were a lot of deletions on the date that Mr. Fernandez went in for a voluntary interview.
That's
Agree with that?
Yes. Right. Mr. Hill.
And Ms. Butler, we were talking about some of those Google deletions, and I think we were talking about number 4 on the spreadsheet that's in front of you.
Can I request that you expand it so I can see the timestamp? I believe the Google deletions were not on the date that we were talking about, or I'm sorry, the Facebook deletion was not on the date that we were talking about, but I can't see the timestamp.
Can you let him know what column it is?
Oh, I'm sorry, column A.
So go up to the top in the middle. Yeah, there you go.
Now, this is a spreadsheet that you produced, correct?
This came from the Google return. I did not create this spreadsheet.
But you offered it in testimony this morning, correct?
That I reviewed it and it came from the Google return, yes.
And I understand when you were testifying on direct examination for the state attorney's office, you didn't request to see the date of any of these deletions.
We weren't referring to specific rows. It was just more of a general overview of what the spreadsheet contained.
About the number of deletions for that particular day.
Not based on this spreadsheet.
It appeared that it was represented by way of your testimony. When it was presented by Ms. Stifler, there was 5,000 some odd deletions on the date of Mr. Fernandez's first voluntary interview.
That's correct.
Okay. And this spreadsheet was produced by you in anticipation of your testimony, is that correct?
Yes, the spreadsheet is not the spreadsheet that details every single deletion made on a specific date.
Are you testifying to this court that you would include deletions that have nothing to do with the deletions that were referenced for the date of Mr. Fernandez's voluntary interview?
In order for me to do a sound analysis, I need to look at all of the data. So that's what I did in this case.
I understand that. Can you tell me why you didn't make that same statement to the state attorney's office on their direct examination showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 212?
This spreadsheet, to my recollection of my direct examination, was brought up to show that there were two different spreadsheets. This spreadsheet contains records of bulk deletions of data, and I believe that I stated that the secondary spreadsheet, the spreadsheet titled secondary, contains the line-by-line records of everything that was deleted from the account.
We'll get to that one in just a moment.
Okay.
Okay. But since your testimony is you don't know, or if I recall, you're not aware of exactly what was deleted from many of these particular deletions. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Leaving a jury with no information as to what possibly could be deleted. You would agree with that?
I can tell you the Google product that was affected by the deletion.
But you would agree on this particular spreadsheet that is the state's evidence that you testified to this morning, it includes, pull it over so they can see, includes items such as Facebook. You would agree with that?
It includes URLs.
Okay.
Yep, yes.
But my question was Facebook.
URLs for Facebook, yes.
URLs for YouTube.
Yes.
You've not found any evidence related to the homicide as it relates to Mario Fernandez and YouTube, correct?
I have not, no.
Never found any searches of how to dispose of a firearm, correct?
I did not, and I wouldn't be able to see them if they'd been deleted.
But the answer is no.
Correct.
Okay. And we have iCloud photos.
Yes.
Okay. Found no evidence that Mr. Fernandez took any photographs that were related to the homicide of Jared Bridegan, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
erome.com, have no idea what that is.
I do not.
Okay. Just because my mother's probably watching this, I'm not going to read out loud what the next item is below that. But you would agree that that particular website doesn't appear to have anything to do with homicide, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Appears to be several entries for that particular website.
That's correct.
And you would agree there's numerous entries for Facebook, YouTube, and iCloud photos.
Correct.
Okay. And then there's a lot of data that doesn't have what the URL or what exactly was deleted.
That's correct.
So certainly you can't offer any testimony this afternoon or ever, as it stands today, that any of these deletions relate at all to the homicide of Jared Bridegan.
I can testify that the deletions were processed on the same day that Mr. Fernandez had his interview.
You would agree deletions could include Gmail accounts, like emails.
They could, but that's not the case in this incident.
It was Google Chrome.
The upwards of 5,200 records the morning of March 1st were Google Chrome records.
But no idea what those are.
That's correct.
They could be something as simple as websites,
That would be what's contained in Google Chrome records.
just like what we reviewed. Facebook, iCloud, pornographic websites, anything.
They could be, yes.
And by could be, meaning you're not convinced that any of those deletions are actually related to the homicide of Jared Bridegan.
All I can say is that they were processed on the same date of the first interview.
Let's go to the secondary. This is the one that you mentioned that was line itemed.
Yes.
Similar to my previous question, nothing to indicate exactly what was deleted.
Just the Google product affected.
Google Chrome.
For what's on the screen right now, yes.
As to what that is, you could never testify it has anything to do with the homicide of Jared Bridegan,
I can just say that it's Google Chrome.
and that it happened on a particular date.
Correct.
You made mention in your direct examination that there were some map searches on February 28th for Pittsburgh,
Yes.
and that's a location that Mario Fernandez went to, correct?
To the area of Pittsburgh.
You would agree February 28th is several days prior to that trip.
Correct. The searches were made on the evening that he was notified about the interview.
But you have no information as to whether or not he was already intending on going to Pittsburgh.
I can just speak to what the records reflect, that there were searches that evening.
Sure. The way you presented that testimony was to make a connection that his trip to Pittsburgh had something to do with his interview, but you have no evidence of that, correct?
I can only speak to the dates that the searches were conducted,
Sure.
compared to the date that Mr. Fernandez was notified, compared to the date that the interview happened on the following day.
He did the search prior to going on the trip,
That's correct.
okay? And he didn't go to Pittsburgh and avoid going in for his interview, did he?
No, the interview happened before. Yes?
Voluntarily, and sat down with law enforcement and gave a lengthy interview.
Correct.
He could have, if he had chosen to, declined that interview,
I believe he could have.
right? He wasn't under arrest.
Correct.
It was voluntary.
Correct.
Everybody knows what that word means that he walked in under his own accord and sat down consensually with law enforcement.
That's correct.
But several days prior, he did a search in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So you have no evidence one way or another has anything to do with the fact that he was going in for an interview.
I can just say that it happened the day before his interview, and the trip ultimately coincided with the CPT interviews of the children.
But again, whether one thing has to do with another, you have no evidence.
I can only speak to the dates.
You can only speculate.
I can speak to the dates.
You testified that he went on his trip north. You guys were able to track him by way of his cell phone data, correct?
That's correct.
Didn't appear that he purchased a burner phone or anything to try to not be tracked. You would agree with that?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
He used his debit card or credit card?
I don't recall which card he used, but there were records of his financial transactions, yes.
You mentioned, I believe it states 195. Your Honor, may I approach the evidence?
Yes.
States 195. Bear with me 1 second, please. Can you see that on your screen?
Not yet.
Ah,
I can see it now.
this was a receipt gathered by Walmart? From Walmart?
I believe so, yes. Can you scroll up so I can see the top of it, please? Thank you.
No dispute, this is what Ms. Stifler showed you on your direct examination.
That's correct.
Okay. Floss swords,
Yes.
any idea what that is?
I believe it's floss picks to floss your teeth.
Like oral hygiene.
Yes.
That doesn't relate to the homicide of Mario Fernandez, or excuse me, Jared Bridegan, does it?
It's a purchase of toiletries.
Sure. A Vino dial, what is that?
I believe it's a Vino Dale, like daily, possibly a moisturizer or a soap of some sort.
As you said, toiletries.
Correct.
The next two don't really relate to me, but hair care products,
Yes.
okay? Nothing to do with the homicide, you would agree with that?
It just says hair care.
Exactly. Body wash and some other men's product. And just normal toiletries.
Correct.
Nothing out of the ordinary for somebody that may be going on a trip. Right?
People need supplies, yes.
Exactly. There's entire aisles at places like Walmart that sell travel containers of various hygiene products.
That's correct.
That's not unusual.
There are those sections in stores, yes.
Now, Walmart sells a lot of things, no disputing that, right?
Correct.
Okay. You don't see anything on this receipt or any other receipt that Mr. Fernandez bought a tent, like to hide out in the woods,
There's no tent on here.
okay? He didn't buy any type of makeup products or fake mustaches or anything to try to disguise himself?
I can only speak to what's on here.
Right, exactly. But certainly if you had found evidence that Mr. Fernandez was gathering any type of items to go on the run and to hide from law enforcement, we would expect you would testify to that, correct?
Somebody would have testified to it.
Certainly.
Yes.
But all you're able to testify to is this receipt from Walmart that Mr. Fernandez bought hygiene products.
That's correct.
You would agree that that's not going to help this jury in any way decide whether or not Mr. Fernandez is involved in a homicide.
I can't speak to what might help the jury or not help the jury. I'm just speaking to what the receipt says.
Okay. And on this particular receipt, it does say credit card approved. Were you able to determine that that was Mr. Fernandez's credit card?
I believe it did ultimately match the financials we had available for Mr. Fernandez, yes.
So again, there was no effort by way of financials for him to try to mask where he was going and what he was paying for.
He used a credit card, yes.
You also found evidence of him having dinner at a Ruby Tuesdays?
I believe the Jacksonville Beach Police Department found those records.
Again, Ruby Tuesdays, you know what that is, right?
Yes.
Well-known little restaurant?
Yes.
Nationwide chain?
Yes.
Okay. Law enforcement was able to determine that's where Mr. Fernandez went and had dinner with a friend?
Yes.
McDonald's?
I'm not aware of a McDonald's
Wouldn't
purchase.
surprise you though, would it?
It's food.
Things people might do on a road trip.
Correct.
Go through a drive-through and pick up a Big Mac or something.
Correct.
Okay. You made mention of the hotel in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
That he booked 2 nights but only stayed for 1.
Correct.
Okay. What time, from your own experience, is the normal checkout time at hotels?
Approximately 11 a.m.
Okay. Do Do you know what time, based upon the cell phone records, Mr. Fernandez actually left the Pittsburgh area?
I believe it was later that evening.
So if you wanted to extend your stay, you weren't ready to leave yet, you might have to purchase a second night.
The 2 nights were booked at the same time.
Sure. But if he decided, I'm going to leave later in the evening, I'm not actually going to stay the night, in order for him to stay in the room past that 11 a.m. checkout time, he would have to have it booked for 2 nights. You would agree with that?
I can't say that he would have had to have it booked. I can say that he had 2 nights booked and he ultimately only stayed for 1.
He stayed for 1.5 days.
I can't speak to exactly when his cell site data shows that he left the hotel.
But you understand he left later that evening from the Pittsburgh area.
From the Pittsburgh area, yes.
You can't tell this jury that he didn't stay in the room later throughout the day and decided to leave that evening.
I cannot right now based on my preliminary analysis that I did.
Certainly can't say whether he decided to leave earlier or later has anything to do with the homicide of Jared Bridegan.
I, again, can only speak to the dates that it occurred.
Exactly. You understood at the time Mr. Fernandez had access to a lot of money.
I think that's fair to say.
Okay. So it wasn't going to break the bank, so to speak, if he were to book a second night and not end up staying the entire night.
He had financial resources.
Again, it wasn't going to put him out on the street by having a second night that he didn't stay for.
That's correct.
Now, State mentioned Mr. Biggerstaff,
Yes.
and that Mr. Fernandez had gone to Mr. Biggerstaff's on February 15th as well as January 25th.
Yes.
Okay. On January 25th, you have no idea why Mr. Fernandez was at John Biggerstaff's. You would agree with that?
Yes.
And you do know that they've had a long-term relationship for decades.
I can't speak to the length, but I do know that they've been familiar with each other for an extended period of time.
Did you know that Mr. Fernandez went to high school with John Biggerstaff's daughter?
Yes.
Did you know that John Biggerstaff and Mario Fernandez would sometimes work out together?
I did not know about workouts.
Did you know that Mr. Biggerstaff would do some handyman work with Mr. Fernandez at his property?
Yes.
So no disputing that they had plenty of legitimate reasons to be together.
That's correct.
So as far as why Mr. Fernandez was there on January 25th, you're not able to say that personally to Mario Fernandez it had any relation to the murder of Jared Bridegan.
I can say that Mr. Fernandez was in the area of Mr. Biggerstaff's house, and then approximately 3 hours and 45 minutes, Mr. Biggerstaff searched for the 10mm Glock pistol.
Sorry, who searched for it?
Mr. Biggerstaff's account.
Okay. Mario Fernandez was not there at that time, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. His device, which we heard from Agent Blythe, generally is within arm's reach of the person that owns that device. Any dispute of that?
I can't speak to where individual people have their devices, but
Sure. But no disputing, based upon your analysis, Mario Fernandez was not present with John Biggerstaff whenever whomever was searching for a 10mm.
that's correct.
And you understood that John Biggerstaff was a convicted felon.
Yes.
And I know some of the searches you pulled up included places you could purchase a firearm, correct?
A website, yes.
Any evidence that a firearm was purchased from any of those websites?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And you would agree, if you go on Google, you type in any type of item, sometimes in the search results, it brings up places where you can purchase those items that you've searched.
Yes.
So, for instance, if I were to Google right now on my cell phone, Glock 40 Gen 4, 10mm, some of those return results might be places I can purchase that firearm.
That's correct. In the case of Mr. Biggerstaff's account, there was indication that he visited the website.
Sure. But there's no indication that he purchased anything.
Correct.
Whether he wanted to go in and look at a firearm he used to own because he had an affinity for firearms, you're not able to testify one way or another.
I believe it was a different firearm than the one that he owned, but you're right, I can't.
Sure. You worked for ATF. Are you aware that there's three different models of a 10mm?
Of the Glock 10mm?
Sure.
I'm not, but I believe you when you say that.
Okay. So whether or not he's clicking on the exact one he owned or a newer generation, you're not able to testify to that.
I can testify that the one that he owned, based on my recollection, was a 10 millimeter Glock 40 Gen 4, and the one that he clicked on was a 10 millimeter Glock 20 Gen 4.
Okay. So now we have two different Glock 10 millimeters that have now been brought up in this case. You understand that?
One that was owned by Mr. Biggerstaff.
Sure. And what your testimony is that he actually clicked on a different model of that 10 millimeter.
Yes,
Okay. And again, no evidence that anything was purchased.
that's correct.
Are you aware that the allegation is it was a Glock 10 millimeter 40 that was used in this homicide?
I'm aware.
Okay. So you would agree a Glock of a different model is unrelated to this homicide?
I will say that the search did not specify which was which.
But you just testified that tell us again, which Glock did he click on?
He clicked on the G20, you're right.
Okay. And it's alleged that it is a 40 Gen 4.
Correct.
Okay. You would agree those are two different models.
Those are two different
same
models.
Caliber.
Yes,
And you would agree the one he clicked on is not what is alleged to be used in this homicide.
that's correct.
Did you review all the searches that Mr. Biggerstaff made, or at least were made on his device?
I can't say that I went line by line through them, no.
You brought up a 9 millimeter
Yes,
Smith & Wesson,
yes,
not used in this homicide, correct?
not to my knowledge.
Would it surprise you that he searched various military bases in South Carolina?
I don't recall that in his search history.
Do you recall searching for a resort in South Carolina and a particular band that plays there?
I don't recall those searches.
You recall handmade flour tortillas being a search that Mr. Biggerstaff made?
I do not recall that, no.
Would you agree in your own experience, people Google all sorts of things?
Yes, I would agree.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Ms. Butler, I'm going to come back to some of those searches in just a moment.
Okay,
Bringing up the trial exhibit from the state, I believe it's Exhibit 214, which is the CDR call logs of Mr. Fernandez. There's one in particular that the state highlighted in purple. You see that on your screen?
yes.
And who did you determine that that was a call to, or at least to the device that was possessed by a certain person? Or
That was the phone number that was used by Janie Deal.
and that was Mr. Tenon's girlfriend.
At the time, I believe so, yes.
And this was the date of his arrest.
Correct.
Did you know that Mr. Tenon had like a black dog?
Yes,
Okay, and that it was actually in the vehicle with him when he was arrested?
yes.
Do you have any evidence as to whether or not Mr. Fernandez was calling to make sure Henry Tenon's girlfriend had his dog?
I didn't listen to the call. I do know that there was a conversation about the dog with somebody else.
Did you ever review any of the poll cameras in this particular case?
I might have looked at them. I don't remember specifics about the poll cameras.
You don't know whether or not there's poll camera video of this Mr. Tenon's dog running around the Potomac property?
I don't recall seeing a video like that.
But as to the significance of that call, it's just that it occurred on the date of Mr. Tenon's arrest to Mr. Tenon's girlfriend.
That's correct, and it was the only one.
Whether it's for a dog or any other reason, you can't testify.
Correct.
Now, Ms. Butler, I was asking you questions about some of the other searches. by Mr. Biggerstaff on January 25th. And you didn't recall some of those that I mentioned. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I'll approach. Ms. Butler, what I'm showing you is a composite exhibit, Defendants Exhibit 53. I want to give you an opportunity to look at these and see if you can identify them for the jury.
Sure. So the one I'm holding right now appears to be a record of a search for Charleston, South Carolina military base that in UTC time was January 26th of 2022 at 1:51 a.m.
And doing that math, can you tell us what time that would have been in Eastern Standard Time, either with daylight savings or otherwise, whatever would be appropriate?
Sure. It would be January 25th, 2022 at 8:51 p.m.
Okay. This would be around the same time period of the other searches you testified to, correct?
Around the same time, I believe the other searches started at 8:15 p.m.
Okay. But within the same hour?
Correct.
Okay. And there's another one I'm going to show you. And if you could do that same somewhat UTC analysis.
Sure. This one is a search for Randy Reap, and the converted time would be January 25th, 2022 at 3:05 p.m.
And these appear to be similar to the same searches that you recovered as far as the way they look. And the
Yes.
same device that you were referencing.
The same Google account, yes.
And that was related to Mr. Biggerstaff.
Correct.
Okay. You would agree that a search for a Charleston, South Carolina military base doesn't appear to have any relevance to the homicide of Jared Bridegan.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And Randy Reap, a local attorney, no information that that has any relation to the homicide of Jared Bridegan.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Your Honor, may I publish to the jury?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Butler, after reviewing those, you would agree there were plenty of other searches from Mr. Biggerstaff's device that didn't have anything to do with firearms
Yes.
and didn't appear to have any relevance to the homicide of Jared Bridegan.
Not that I am aware of, no.
You had an opportunity to review the Google searches of Henry Tenon.
I likely did. I can't recall the details of them.
If you had an opportunity to review some of those searches, would it refresh your recollection?
It might, yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes. You may throughout. Is that something in evidence? No, ma'am. Okay. Is there an objection? Okay. Members of the jury, we're going to take our mid-afternoon break, okay? We'll come back in 15 minutes. All right, Ms. Butler, everyone may be seated. Ms. Butler, you're still in the witness stand, so you can take the break. Just don't discuss your testimony with anyone, okay? Stay here. All right, thank you. Court's in recess.